Hello and welcome to Midweek Gaming number 56. And it's a fine Wednesday in the UK. We've got 70 to 75 mile an hour winds. We were late, Daz, because I went to check if my bins had blown over. But yeah, we're back again on Wednesday. Thanks for tuning in everyone. I could see Indie Gaming chat early. Was back from the dead. I think he's always the first to comment in the chat. The UK Dazarus, Masuku, VJ's in chat as well. Luke Steele's in chat. Pyro, MD, how you doing? He's in chat as well. Boba Fett Gaming, welcome. So this week we've got a great guest who also features on the Green Pass Gaming podcast and the Indie Games podcast with the Indie Gamer. How are you doing, Luke?
Yeah, I'm very well. Actually, I've got some kind of cold, which is not COVID, but I'm jokingly referring to as COVID-20.
Thing is, you have to say that now. It's annoying, isn't it? You have to say,
yeah. So it's kind of wiped me out the last few days, but I just turned a corner kind of this evening for the better to be able to come on here. So I'm very happy to be here, and I'm looking forward to talking.
I didn't even know you were down. You were feeling poor. You're not a moaner, are you? You don't really say, do you?
Well, no. I mean, to my partner, I do, but she can put up with it. I think for now. Not online though. Not online. I'll keep that quiet. Internally, I'm raging.
It's good to have you on. It is.
Thank you very much.
Have you got any games you're looking forward to, Luke? Just out of interest.
Oh yeah, I mean, two huge games the next week and a half. So Horizon on Friday, which I've pre-ordered, which is quite rare, but I knew I'd love it because I love the first one. And then Elden Ring next week as well. So it's just it's a mad month really. And if you look back, we've had Dying Light 2 and Sifu. Those are the two that immediately I'm looking forward to playing, particularly Horizon. I just can't wait to dive into them. But it's just going to be... I'm just trying to work out how to kind of go about playing them because invariably, one is going to fall by the wayside between Horizon and Elden Ring. Like, it's just going to happen.
There is not enough time in the day to play all
the
games.
There is. There is no... And I've been frantically trying to get through... Well, not frantically, but I've been trying to savor but also complete Sifu as well, which I'm really enjoying. And ahead of those games coming out, because I don't want Sifu to just fall into the backlog, which is like 4,500 games long at this point. So,
Okay, well, you have 36 hours to finish Sifu, so there you go.
Yeah, well, I've got one boss left. I've got one boss left, so I can do it, I think, maybe.
Good to hear. Sounds a lot of good games coming there. I must admit, Horizon Forbidden West does look very good, but I haven't completed the bloody first one, so there's no point getting it. Right.
You haven't completed hardly any games. We don't want to hear that.
Yeah, I think Luke knows that. Everyone knows that. They do. But Animated Evil, welcome. And thank you for the Stubzcast last Friday. It was an excellent show. It was a very chilled, relaxed chat about gaming and content creation. I really enjoyed it. It was a really good one.
Do you know what? You did an absolute amazing job of getting me to open up and just being completely honest. As a host, you were absolutely fantastic. I really enjoyed it as well. So I thank you for it, really, because it obviously let people know a little bit more about me and my history and what I do and that kind of thing. So yeah, I appreciate it. And again, I appreciate you having me on again this week.
God knows how hard it is to get you to talk about yourself for hours on end.
Oh, it's so hard, honestly. He's so bloody quiet all the time.
I talk, just not about me. I do talk a lot, just not about myself and that kind of thing. Yeah, it's once you get me going, Paul knows, it's difficult to get me to shut up.
But how are you doing? And is there any games you're looking forward to playing?
Do you know what? The main one I'm looking forward to, that's dropped off most people's radar, is at least 6 months out. which is Test Drive Unlimited. The third version of that. I am really looking forward to that game.
Nice. Okay.
There was that, and there was sort of the Harry Potter thing that's been delayed until 2023, I think, something along those lines. Yeah, there's so, as Luke so eloquently put, there's just so many games to play right now. I can't think of what I want to play next. It's just backlog, and I'm in the same situation where I've got 1,000 or so to play. It's just crazy.
It is. But at least you will probably complete some of them.
No, not the way I hop around. Not really.
Fair enough. VJ, how are you doing? Welcome back.
Hi there. How you doing?
And also, well done on your return to Xbox Factor podcast on Boom Show. It was very good. What was it?
Yeah.
I was listening in.
Thank you. Yeah, it's good to be back on a show at a civil hour, really, because to get your brain kicking into gear at 7 o'clock is difficult. But thanks for having me back on the show, and it's lovely to have Luke back as well, Professor Layton, as I like to call him. You beat me up. Yeah,
you're too far away.
I should say Phoenix, right? Really, that's probably more.
Well, yeah. I'll just start shouting objection during this if there's nothing I agree with.
I hope so, but yeah, no, I'm really looking forward. Also, jokes aside, I'm really looking forward to hearing his views today. So yeah, thanks for having me on, and looking forward to the show.
It'll be good. A few more have came in. Welcome, Muppet. Thanks for popping in. She's now elite. Welcome. Who else we got? Yeah,
Dreadpool.
That's it so far. Dreadpool, welcome. I've seen you. Removable Sanity. Welcome back. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you very much. Thank you for having me on. And
has your shed taken off in the wind?
It hasn't. It is slightly
That's
rocking, unlike my bedroom, but it is slightly rocking. Yeah. It's good to have Luke on. I'm sure he'll provide us a good, robust counter to every argument we have going.
It's too high an expectation. It's way too high.
It's just great to have you on, my friend.
Oh, thank you very much.
Thank you very much for having me on again.
Yeah, no, it was good. It's good to have you back on, like every week. It's good. And as Animated saying in the chat, please hit the like button, share the show out, and subscribe. Because I was talking about it, that's on the podcast, saying I don't do it enough, apparently. So he's doing it in the chat, prompting me to say it. Cerebral, how are you doing?
Yo.
Welcome back.
I'm doing good. Yeah. Living day to day, baby. Yeah.
Looking young.
Yep. Shave my face off and all that.
Oh, you haven't you? Yeah, you have. Looking younger. You are.
Yeah.
He's only saying that now after I pointed it out.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah.
I thought we had Thanos on for a minute.
Yeah, Stubbs was probably actually going, something looks different. I can't figure it out.
Yeah,
He's not wearing a hat, right? That's
He's
it.
not where's the hat?
See, look at that. See,
that was it. The hat.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Let's see. And let's see. Well, I've been playing a lot. In fact, I've been playing Madden the last couple of hours. But other than that, a lot of Dying Light 2. And then yesterday, or actually not yesterday, but the night before, I did a little bit of Cyberpunk. And then I did Cyberpunk yesterday to compare old with new. Definitely noticeable difference. And as I was getting into the game again, I realized how much fun that game really is. Mm-hmm. And how well put together it is. I'm probably going to end up playing the whole dang thing all over again. So there you go. Because I played it when it first dropped, and I haven't played it since. So I've got a little over a year since I played it. So even though I remember parts of it, I don't remember all of it. So I'm going to probably go back and do some of that. Yep.
Yeah, because I've been in there. I've been in there and deleted all my saves, so I'm going to replay it. Yeah. So see if
Wait, you're
No,
going to
there's people-
replay it? Does that mean you've actually
I
completed
haven't.
it?
No,
No,
it means replay the intro.
Start it.
Yeah.
Replay the intro.
Didn't get that far.
He'll replay the character customization screen.
Yeah, no,
Yeah, that was as far as he got,
no,
actually.
I thought going Stubbs.
I thought-
He was
I
8
thought
minutes
it
in.
was further than
8
that.
minutes in.
Yeah.
Further than that.
He wants to see if he can make the joke even bigger now. In 4K,
Yep.
yeah.
But yeah, so we've got some topics today. There's one on Sifu. I'm on. Can I play it? Can I play that game.com, as that seemed to be the best article of it. Basically, Sifu is having post-launch accessibility updates, and it could include closed caption and extra difficulty modes. Sifu will be receiving a number of accessibility updates in the future. It has been confirmed in a Twitch stream by Steve Saylor. I hope I'm saying
Right.
that right, Paul. Yep.
Yeah, Steve's a nice guy.
A segment by the co-founder of Slowcap co-founder detailed the studio's possible plans for the future of Sifu and accessibility. I'll just get down to all the... Oh, man, not this up, innit?
By the way, Steve announced today that he actually got brought on as an accessibility consultant for one of the companies. I can't remember which one.
It was,
I
That
almost want to
was
say
for-
Take-Two Interactive, but
no, it was for Call of Duty, wasn't it? Was it one of them?
oh yeah, it was for Call of Duty. Yeah, it was for.
Yep.
So yeah, he's actually officially like doing it as a thing now instead of freelancing it, which is cool. Now the fact that Sifu didn't have what's it called closed captions to begin with kind of shocks me in today's world. It really does. Of all the accessibility things that most games do by default, that's usually one of them. Yeah.
Yeah. So I've found the bit now. Now I messed up.
Yeah.
Sifu will be getting accessibility updates post-launch, including improving captioning, a high contrast mode for the PS4 and PS5, as well as PC, and difficulty modes as well. We want Sifu to challenge players and to encourage them to learn, improve, and adapt. The ability to rise up from death will help new players by allowing them to fail and try again multiple times when they face difficulty, but the price of the mistakes will rapidly increase, and in order to fully complete the game, they will have to master the combat system. And a tweet from Steve Saylor says it'd be better captions, high contrast mode on. I've just repeated that. So difficulty modes. There will be an easier mode and a harder mode, and they've compared it similar to Metroid Dread's update. So that's interesting. What your thoughts on
Was
that?
there a
Luke?
date for that?
No, it's just a future update. It says, it doesn't say when. It doesn't. I'm just going to get the guest thought because he's currently the guest. So, Luke, do you want to jump in on that one first? Because you're currently playing it. You are.
Yeah. I'm happy it's getting that stuff. I think as Cerebral Paul said, it's quite bizarre it didn't have closed captions. I mean, that's just like one of the most basic accessibility / common features that that games should have. Obviously, it doesn't affect me, but it does affect other people. I think the difficulty one's really interesting. There's always this back and forth about how developers design their games around difficulty, and you go back to Souls debate, etc.
Be careful where you tread here, Luke, because I will jump through the internet and kick your ass.
Don't worry. Don't worry. You'll like what I'm going to say. I think I watched. Funnily enough, I think having. So I really hope it has easier modes. Much more accessible modes for people who either don't want the difficulty or can't, deal with that level of difficulty to actually enjoy the game. The one thing I will say about it, which Skill Up said in his review, and which, having played, most of the game, as I say, it's got 5 bosses and I'm 4 bosses down, is that I think the problem for Sifu is that it's very, if you can plow through that game quickly, it's very short. Like, it's super short. The difficulty, in a way, kind of pads the length of the game, and therefore, sort of justifies. I mean, it's a great experience, but it helps to justify the price it's at. I think if you're, going through it quickly, you could literally blast through that game in about 2 hours, maybe less, without any challenge. Now, I've got no issue with that at all. I just think it's maybe. It's one of those things where in a Souls game, for example, they're much longer games generally. So even if you ramp down the difficulty of those games, you will still get a very solid, enjoyable experience. I don't know whether, Sifu would be like that. And that's not to say it shouldn't have easier modes, because it absolutely should. But I think even more than the Souls games, this game was designed around difficulty, and I think that's probably a failing of the developer as a result, and maybe it's why they didn't want to introduce this to begin with. And I love it, and I think probably by the time I finished it will have taken me maybe 8 or 9 hours, which is a good length for this type of game. But that's the only thing I worry about, and I don't worry about that from you shouldn't have easier modes. It's literally just I think it's hard to justify the value of that game without the challenge, which again is a bit of a failure of design of the game. So yeah, I'm interested to hear what other people think, but Paul, hopefully you won't kill me for those comments.
No, but I will say one thing I want to point out. See, even if you were to switch it, say they put an easy mode, you put on an easy, and it's a cakewalk, and you do it in an hour and a half. You know what? That easy mode to you may speed you up, but it still may be damn hard for me.
Yeah, very true. Very true.
That's the hardest part to get through to people is giving it an easy mode doesn't affect you if you don't want it to at all.
Yeah. No, that's a really good point.
Because it still may take me 9, 10, 12 hours to get through the game, even on easy. Just because of the way my hands work in my case. So that's why I always get into these things with people when there shouldn't be. That's not the intent of the developer. I was having that discussion on my wall the other day, or I was involved in a conversation. A developer came in, and I forget which game we were talking about, and he flat out said, no, actually, from the mouth of the developer himself, he said that wasn't his intent. So don't sit here and try to tell these people that putting an easy mode breaks the intent of the game, because you have no idea what you're talking about.
The Sifu developer said that.
No, it was a different. It was for a different game that I was getting, where I was told if I couldn't play it to go watch it on YouTube. I hate it when they tell me that.
I've seen that one. Yeah, I did see that.
That was again last week. So it's like, no. It was, in fact, it was on one of Steve Zahler's posts, where he mentioned he had sat down with the Sifu guys. And so there was me, another handicapped person, and a developer who works on the disability side, the accessibility side, all telling this guy to hose off, basically.
I think Indy was asking, is there closed captioning in Sifu?
Luke
currently?
would know that more than I would. Is that actually an option, or are they improving them, or are they not? Or are they not there?
In the article, it states they're implementing it. So it's not there.
I don't actually know, because I haven't gone to check if it is. But it seems like it might not be there. Or
well, in this caniplay.com, the way they've worded it, there looks to also be plans to implement closed capturing that subtitles the ambient sound surrounding the player. So it sounds like it's not there now.
Well, remember, subtitles are different than closed captions, and they have different types of. There's the kind that, like, if you played Valhalla, if you turn on the closed captioning there, it'll say, like, on the left side, it'll show you fire crackling, weapon clashing. So it gives you an idea of what's going on around you, even if you can't hear it. Is probably what they're doing for that fighting game, which would be good.
Okay.
So, So that's and more games are going that route, descriptive captions or whatever, to give you a better idea of what's going on. Because if you can't hear it, it doesn't do you any good. By the way, even if I don't need them in a game, I almost by default turn on subtitles because I stream so much of what I play. Having them on the stream helps the person watching the stream, hear if they can't hear the game because I'm yammering away, they can at least read what's going on the screen. So
see, reading the article, it says that the shared that they've worked with game accessibility guidelines to implement what is currently available in the game. So with them coming out with this news so quickly after the game has launched, I think this was part of the process anyway. I think they've already worked on this kind of how they're going to scale it down and what they're going to add and things like that. Because when you read the article, it says that, I mean, the game's been out, a week or so, something like that?
right.
It seems like, especially the article that Stubbs shared on caniplaythat.com, it talks about it in the past tense. So Tano shared that the studio worked with game accessibility guidelines. So I think that these things were going to come anyway. It's not a reaction to everyone saying, "Oh, the game's too hard," anything like that. I think it was. I think they were going to come anywhere. It was just.
That's why I asked the question: when's it coming? Because it's as you rightly said, animated. It sounds like this was. They probably wanted to get it right, and so to not get it right, they held it back for an update, like a day one patch. But the day one patch kind of went into a day week patch or something.
Yeah, it could be. It could be, by the time they decided to talk to Can I Play That or whoever they talked to, because I actually have talked to the guys at Can I Play That as well, and I've posted some stuff to them as well. The game developer went, oh crap, we really should have put that in, and so there was kind of a Johnny come lately. They didn't think about it beforehand, and we've interviewed on 4GQ TV, we've interviewed some developers, and they'll say. We didn't, because we're not in that situation, we didn't necessarily think about that. So they're learning to put these things as a priority or at least on a to-do list as well.
Also, it's how it's implemented, because sometimes how they think it should be implemented versus how other people who have those issues feel it should be implemented. Getting that right can also be a bit of a crux.
Well, that's why they need to talk to people like Steve and people like me and stuff, because we'll tell them here's what really helps, and here's the way here's the way it really should be compared to what you may think is correct. Because until you're in our situation, or you deal with or you talk to somebody in our situation, you only understand the very basics of it. And you tell us to go watch it on YouTube if we can't play. No.
so do you know what's going back to the article as well? Apparently, going down it and reading it again, I read it this afternoon. I admit I read it because I was at work, but it says Sifu's difficult has been a hot topic, with the studio not choosing to have a difficulty option at launch, right, with the intention to challenge players. But in Tano's on comments in an interview last year, post-launch difficulty options were hinted at. So it was always going to launch. By the sounds of it, it was always going to launch difficult, and then afterwards, their DLC or whatever they're going to do, they're going to bring those options to people. I think it was too far in development before they realised, as you so pointed out, the thought, do you know what? We should really put these options in.
It may have been a litmus test too. Let's see what the response is.
I remember it's not just there is the small number of this development team as well. I know that's not an excuse, but it is also, if you've only got one or two people in this team, there's only so much time in the day to try and push things out, and maybe that's again it was a, oh Christ, we're not going to get to the thing we want to get to, so we're going to have to put some things back and hopefully get it done within a week or two later.
Yeah, I'm not sure it's going to be. I'm not sure it's going to be a week or two. I think it's going to be a little bit longer than that. I'm going to be honest, because It depends on when they started focusing on these difficulty options and how they actually implement these difficulty options. It could be hit markers changing. It could be all sorts of different things within there. The easy, hard options. It's because don't forget they are going to add a harder option as well. Apparently.
Yeah, because I think it's an interesting game because I think there's a lot of options you can introduce in it to make it easier for people or to tailor it to what people want. So I think one of the things that struck me is that it's very, in its moment-to-moment gameplay, the thing that I imagine most people will find difficult is it's very reflex-based. A lot of emphasis on parrying and dodging, which is obviously for some people, extremely difficult, having to do that. But there's also then, and that's stuff that they can tweak. Obviously, it's a little bit trickier to tweak that, but there's even stuff like the way that the dying mechanic works, that you essentially start off at age 20 and every time you're defeated, you accrue a number of years of your life and you keep going up until eventually you hit, I think it's age 70 or 75. And at that point, you revert back to the start of the level. They could just have an option where you can toggle that off, where you don't have any of those ages. So people can keep going and going and going and they're not, artificially limited to that. And that's obviously not going to solve it for everyone, but it's just small options like that. I'm surprised they didn't introduce them at launch because I think that they would they'd help people through it a bit, rather than bashing your head against a wall and struggling to get past one area because you keep getting to level, age 70 and then starting it again or whatever. So
yeah, I was watching Mike from the original Next Level Gaming podcast play the other night, and he was running into those problems and getting very frustrated.
Yeah, it is frustrating, and you'll start part of the design of the game is, at least at launch, is to try and get you to become almost perfect at these levels, right? So that you can run from the end of level one, from the beginning of level one to the end at age 20. So for example, when I started the game, I got to the end of level one, but I was like age 45, which meant that I had no chance, unless I played the rest of the game perfectly, of getting to level 5 before I got to too old an age. And it kind of incentivizes you to go back and rerun the level so that you die less and less, so that you can go into level 4, let's say at age 31, and you've got all these kind of lives, so to speak. And that's fine if you're that way inclined, and obviously if you enjoy that, that's great. But if you really struggle with it, that's a really frustrating mechanic, I would imagine. Really frustrating. And I've struggled with it on certain bosses where I'm just like, for God's sake, like I'm just sick of getting to the end of the level and I'm like 68 years old and just crap. So yeah.
Yeah, that's what he was running into. He, after a while, it's like, oh God, I got to start it over again. Yes, you're going to watch me start it over again, and Yeah.
You just have to, because you're not going to be able to get through the rest of the game at that age, which is can be very frustrating.
We'll see. I'll probably try it at some point. I'm not going to try it anytime soon, but
no, I'd recommend it. It's a really cool game.
It looks fun. It looks fun, and it brings back proper kung fu. Which is kind of fun.
Yeah, and when you're kind of in that moment, you kind of start off as a kind of drunk John Wick to begin with, and then you kind of build out your skills, and you do become more adept at it, and or at least that's the intention. And it feels great. It's got great combat, great style about it. I hopefully once they introduce all these kind of different modes and accessibility options, you can give it a go, because I'm sure you'll enjoy it.
Yeah, it looks fun. I mean, I watched him do it. It looked like it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, definitely.
And you said you started as a drunk. My favorite character in virtual combat or a virtual fighter was always the drunken master guy. You're basically him to start with, and then you get less drunk as you go on. Well, that takes the fun out of it, doesn't it? Yeah. Let me hit the fire and water a little bit.
Yeah.
VJ, have you got any thoughts on this topic?
No, I think it's been comprehensively covered. I thought I saw something that they'd sold 500,000 units. So
Yes, they have.
if
It's
it,
a good
if it is
number.
a couple of guys, then I mean, they must be raking in a few $1 million. And then I think they just need to speak to Sony, look at the feedback on Steam, look at this feedback. Well, don't look on Twitter for sure. And listen to a few podcasts, maybe this one, and just prioritize what they need to do. And hopefully next iteration, the next.
Well, it's not Sony's. It's not. It's just a timed thing. It's coming to Xbox.
No. But the thing is,
That's
they can, from Sony's perspective, they can at least take their feedback, right? Because Sony, your account manager at Sony will provide you feedback in terms of. They don't just do Q&A on your product. There's a whole suite of facilities that Sony can offer indie developers.
You know, that's an interesting thing. That it is coming to Xbox, and Xbox does have a laundry list of accessibility things that they go, we'd like you to put these things in the games.
Yep. And yeah, most publishers have it. I'm with Paul that I think that the Xbox third-party criteria is probably far more comprehensive than anyone else's. Don't quote me on that, but I think that's probably true. But Sony can also provide valuable feedback, and what you do with all of that feedback is then just filter through it and then prioritize what your roadmap looks like. But hopefully they don't go out and hire a load of people with their next paycheck coming in terms of royalties. But if you sold 500,000 units of a game and there's only a couple of you making it over a period of time, then I think they're doing quite well.
Exactly, 500,000 is a very good number. I remember when Death's Door came out, and that sold like I'm sure 300,000 or 400,000 in the first week or so as well. So,
So I think they're sitting pretty, is my point. And the thing is, if they can just prioritize what they feel that they need to deliver with that small team, then that's absolutely fine. As long as it doesn't take as long as Silk Song's taking, and we'll be all right. Sorry, Luke, I thought you might want to chime in there on Silk Song. But...
No, they just need to release the bugger, don't they?
Yeah, I know. So in comparison, I think the studio, forgive me, I don't know what their name is, the ones that are doing Sifu.
Slow clap.
Slow clap.
Yeah. So Slow Clap is still quicker than Team Cherry. Sorry, Luke, I can't go.
But Sifu 2's 5 years out, so it's fine.
And you know what, Animated, I won't blame them if they can afford to take that time to make it, and they want to take 5 years. I don't have any issues. It's totally up to what they're planning to do, right? Because I think Silk Song's is the 5th year anniversary is just in a couple of days. It's tomorrow, actually.
Really?
Is that right? Yeah, it's tomorrow. Is that right, Luke?
Ooh, I don't know about that.
Oh,
I think it was
clearly not true Silk Song fans.
You obviously don't care about this game if you don't know the facts, okay?
Well,
if I don't know the precise time and date that it launched initially.
You're telling me it's not tattooed on your butt cheek. That's just clearly.
That's right. Okay, everybody here. Luke's a fraud. Okay, Luke.
I'm a fraud. Okay? The Hollow Knight fraud.
I'm just waiting for all the insults from Indy to appear in the chat.
You should be like Mr. Badbit. He knows exactly how many hours and days, years, etc. since Bloodborne released. He's got a counter on his computer. He can look it up really quickly.
Yeah, but I've got something else which is called a life. So I just can't remember all these dates.
Do tell me what that's like.
I think you're playing that.
Sounds familiar.
Life of Leisure would be more appropriate.
Oh, welcome, Darth Practice. He says as long as it beats GTA 6, they're all good.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yep.
Yeah. That's still 5 years out. And next year, it'll still be 5 years out.
The only life I have is that board game, and it's missing some of the pieces. I don't know. It's just,
Trust me, it's GTA 5 plus.
Anyway, Stubbs, next topic, sir. Let's go.
Yes, this is quite an interesting one. So the original composers for Halo's iconic music, they have sued Microsoft. It's quite an interesting one, this, over allegedly unpaid royalties dating back 20 years. Marty O'Donnell told Eurogamer that he and fellow, I might butcher his surname, composer Mike Salvatore That might be wrong. I might. Filed a lawsuit in June 2020 after spending 10 years failing to make any headway in discussions with Microsoft over the claims. The composers say they licensed the Halo music to the original Halo developer, Bungie, which went on to be acquired by Microsoft ahead of the launch of the franchise in 2001. At the time of the acquisition, O'Donnell had just become a full-time Bungie employee, serving as the studio's audio director. I might have this surname, Salvatore, remained independent while working at O'Donnell Salvatore Inc., which O'Donnell also remained part of. Microsoft is reportedly arguing that the Halo music was created under a work-for-hire agreement rather than a licensing one, that it is therefore qualifies as the author of the work.
Yep.
It was never work for hire, O'Donnell claimed. It was a license deal. O'Donnell said the lawsuit isn't about he and Salvatore attempting to claim ownership over the Halo music. Instead, the pair claim they haven't been paid royalties owed in many years. The lawsuit accuses Microsoft of breach of contract, breach of
Yeah, all kinds of crap. Hey,
yeah, I can't read it. But we have a lawyer on the show anyway.
Yeah, Marty's full of shit. Okay.
I was going to say, Stubbs, I'm so glad you won't be speaking of my eulogy at my funeral.
I'm terrible.
Stubbs. Breach of fiduciary duty to develop a royalty income in a joint venture. Breach of the act of good faith and fair dealing, failure to provide an accounting partnership, unjust enrichment, and tortuous interference. So basically what they're saying, I believe, before Luke baffles us with technical jargon within the legal speak, is the fact that they believe they were paid to create some music that was theirs. Okay, it went to the Halo thing, and now Microsoft haven't paid for it, I think, by the sound of it.
Surely that can be just quickly, easily explained by seeing the contract.
According to Marty, it scrolled on the back of his contract that they were going to, but, only on his contract, though. It wasn't officially added. This is the same guy who lost a suit to about the music for the other game.
Destiny, wasn't it?
Destiny.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
Okay.
just a few months ago. Yeah.
Well,
So Marty,
so
Marty's
Matty
got
O'Donnell
some
did Destiny as well, right?
yeah, Marty's got some. I think Marty's got some ambulance chaser in his ear, going, "Hey, there's money here," and he probably thought that Microsoft was just going to roll over and pay for it. Yeah, that was not the right thing to call. I mean, Luke's the lawyer, but I don't think, I think it'd be easy to prove if it was there. Did Marty lose all his paperwork? So go ahead. Give us the lawyer speak.
I mean, I think it's funny that it's coming out kind of now after the Destiny case, because I think in that, so O'Donnell was basically, he had to surrender all his future rights to, I think it was Music of the Spheres or something, which were original compositions that he made for the game, but then he was publishing on YouTube, etc. And I think he had to pay something like $100,000 for reasonable costs with that case. Yep. So he's probably, I'm sure Marty O'Donnell can afford $100,000. He's very successful. However, no doubt that someone, I think, as Paul said, has had a whisper in his ear and said, "Oh, you might be able to get something from Microsoft." It's really hard in anything like this to know who has the stronger claim until you actually see the underlying documents. I mean, as people have said, it should be really clear from whatever contracts were signed as to the scope of O'Donnell and Salvatore's work and how they were treated, I guess, in the context, i.e., whether they were license holders licensing their original compositions to Bungie that was then acquired by Microsoft, or whether they were in fact, effectively, consultants / employees, and anything that they made in the course of that employment, i.e., music, belonged to Bungie. So, I mean, they must think there's some chance, otherwise they wouldn't risk taking Microsoft to court, because you have to have particularly large. To be able to do that, because they effectively have an unlimited pocket to contest this sort of stuff, and Marty O'Donnell and Salvatore won't. So I personally, I'd expect to see it get settled quite shortly out of court. I don't think it will go and become a public spat or anything like that.
Do you think, right, that that word in their ear was the fact that, do you know what, Microsoft have a little bit of a shady past, not shady as such, I apologize for the wording there, but they're known to be not the most popular company out there. They were once upon a time one of the most hated companies in the US, of course. Now they're doing this sort of, this is us, we're better than this. Do you think that word in their ear is, do you know what? Microsoft don't want to be dragged publicly into the gutter. Yeah. So even if you've got a claim or not, they'll probably pay you out because they can afford it. That's just a feeling. If they've done
maybe not, because I can see where Microsoft would say, "Hey, you've got no standing, so hey, spend your money." Yeah.
Plus, if they do it once, how many people are going to go for it and start throwing suits left, right, and centre?
Yeah, I agree, but it was just a case of would that be your thing on the table, because they're trying to make their image a hell of a lot better, Microsoft, and they have. No, they've done wonders as a company these last couple of years.
But settling is kind of like admitting fault where you have none. It can be.
Yeah, I'm just throwing an idea out there.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. I wouldn't necessarily do it if my high-paid lawyers honestly think they don't have a leg to stand on. Settling for any kind of grand amount, it looks like you're admitting, okay, we kind of screwed up. I'm not saying they didn't, because we don't have all the information, but I'm saying
it's true. There is something I'll mention.
It just looks. By the way, to me, it looks like this is all more Marty than it is the other guy. The other guy hadn't said word one, boo. Marty's been doing all the bitching and moaning. Yeah.
And I mean, I think, what you often get in this sort of stuff is you get something called a without prejudice offer. So that would, in this case, it effectively would be from, Microsoft or O'Donnell / Salvatore could do it, but that's just, basically saying we make you an offer to settle without any admission of liability, to get it off the table, to get away from it. And I think most likely I don't know if they have said if they are, but I think I read somewhere that, and it's certainly common, that it's going to mediation next. And then if nothing comes of mediation between Microsoft and O'Donnell, then it may go to court from that point. So,
isn't mediation where they lost the last thing against the other music?
I'm not sure. I think it's been a while. So mediation is essentially, let's sit in a room and let's have a talk about it, again without prejudice, not admitting any fault or liability, and see if we can come to some arrangement, and that then becomes binding, a mediation, if you do agree on it, and you actually have to put that into paper, and that stops anybody bringing a future claim and turning around and going, actually, we don't agree with that, let's go to court. It's really interesting, but I do think, I'm also surprised as well, because I'm not too familiar with the American legal system, but this, I think, or American contract law, but in the UK, you usually have a limitation on claims of about 6 years. So, and this dates from over 20 years ago, this stuff. So I'm surprised.
The part that gets me is all of a sudden 20 years later, it's going, you owe me money. What the hell?
Yeah. You'd think... But again, that gives a bit more credence to the fact that O'Donnell's looking for some cash. He really wants some. So
let's say we go with his permission, because I think it was mentioned that he's been trying to get hold of Microsoft or into some sort of dialogue with them. Presumably, I don't know the law, and Luke, you'll be able to know this. If you're consistently sending emails or sending some sort of mitigation or some sort of responses to them, surely that means it's keeping that claim open, or is that still a potential? That's what I'm thinking. Again, maybe I don't know.
I mean, in the UK, you've got to, if you think your contract has been breached, you've got essentially 6 years from the time that you think the breach has happened to make a formal claim. You can't artificially extend that by going, oh, well, I think I might have a claim, in year 1, and then in year 6 going, oh, I think I might have a claim, and kind of keeping it going. It just expires, and effectively, if you were to bring that in front of a court, they would just laugh you away, because they would just be like, well, you've got
Does it mean, and again, it's proof of our legal system, what stops the other party just ignoring you until you push that claim through the system? Because in a way, it can be kind of like used against the person claiming, can't it? It's just like ignore it and let the time run out. Effectively, it's time to let it go out.
Oh, I see what you mean. No, go ahead, VJ.
No, I've got a bit of a different take to you on this, but I'll go in after you. But there is once you serve a writ over here, it doesn't matter. I don't know what the lifespan of commitment is, but if you do not respond to a writ within a given time, you may find that the ruling goes against you.
Yep.
So it's very, very risky not to respond to a writ.
Oh, right, okay.
Summons. Yeah.
Because that's what he was stating. He was saying he's been trying to get hold of them for 20 or years. So I was wondering whether that was the case.
I'm not buying that either.
Yeah, and he, the thing is, he may be telling the truth on that, but by what does he mean by trying to get in contact? If he's just giving them a call or an email, then that's pretty stupid, isn't it? Because you're not going to get anywhere without serving formal legal proceedings on someone. So,
sorry, Luke, but I was going to say, right, so if you look back, right, to the legacy of a lot of these deals from 10 or 20 years ago, and I'm assuming that this sort of deal was done back then, a lot of royalty deals that I saw back then were done in perpetuity. So then I think that comes under the notion of that there is probably no limit. And let's be honest, 20 years ago, when the acumen level or the knowledge or the understanding or even the general interest amongst video game execs and the lawyers that they'd employ or outsource to, 20 years ago, I would say was pretty poor. No offense to you, Luke, because obviously you're top dollar. But and I would see so many contracts that just had so much undue care and attention paid to them. It was shocking, and the games industry was scoffed at, I would say, right, until I think probably about when Nintendo sold Rare, right, to Xbox, about 350 million, when things started to pick up. And then I remember EA, they made inroads in terms of maturing the industry with licensing and licensed games, because obviously the large institutions that they were working with, and that started to become more video games. Video games based on license started to become a really big trend, but still, these sorts of cases, due to oversight or unoversight, right, or a misjudgment, would, for me, still lead to issues, right? And they were really frequent 10 to 15 years ago. It's not as prevalent today, but some do. I would say individuals, right, would or do bide their time, and it feels and sort of, I know what you guys are saying, kind of feels like, is this just like an opportune moment in time, given that Satya's just come out and said whatever, like Halo Infinite's had 20 million players to it, right? And now this TV show, I haven't read the article in depth, so please correct me if I'm wrong. And as they say, right, legally, opportunity and motive, right, as they say in Luke's game. But for me, it's the 20 million players. First of all, even though I would thoroughly question the nature of that, or the qualitative measure of those numbers. That aside, it's out there in the public, and some of the reasons cited right at the bottom, in terms of, how can I explain this? They are sort of quite typical ones, right? And besides not being paid for royalties, right? And they're the typical, those reasons being cited are quite typical in agreements, right? And normally items you sort of breeze past right after the main terms and boilerplate stuff, right? Basically, right? And it's quite funny, right? How sort of something that seems pretty common, but also innocuous sentences, agreements, right, which are supposed to protect both sides, right, are then invoked to sort of base a lawsuit around that. That's what I'm seeing, right? Perhaps I'm being naive, Luke. I don't know, but especially in the US, since I've lived here and I worked here, obviously in previous, since mid 90s to some points, the US, especially California, and I don't know what Texas is like, so maybe Paul can chime in. It's litigation city, litigation country, if I can put it like that, because actually California is a huge state. But it's the definition of insanity in terms of what you can sue for, how quickly you can sue, how long after a contract, whether it's even been agreed, you can sue, and how much money you can possibly glean from another person or the state itself or a corporation is quite shocking. The numbers are quite boggling, right? And the other one, what was the other one recently in Poland, right? I think it was something to do with the
Witcher.
Who filed a lawsuit against CDPR for something to do with being unpaid for his work and to the tune of 10 million, right? After an agreement had sort of previously been signed, right, sealed and delivered. And even when he was offered royalties, he refused to take the royalties at the time and wanted the cash there and then because he didn't trust.
But that's still a Polish law. They were trying to rule with American law, and they said no.
It's the same sort of thing, right? Even though it's not, Polish law is not that different from EU law.
But if they ruled with CDPR tried to rule with American law, and they ruled with Polish law. That's why the CDPR lost.
No, I don't think CDPR lost. Right? As far as I understood, is that they managed to agree something behind the scenes, right?
So
it was partly to do with the thing. Obviously, they're not done with The Witcher, and obviously, as I think someone mentioned, right, to maintain, a decent relationship with him, and obviously not to tarnish whatever they want to do with The Witcher 4. So they came to an agreement behind the scenes, right? So and the thing is with CDPR and Xbox. And other companies, right? I think someone mentioned, right, in terms of why do they let these things become public and don't nip them in the bud early on. In some cases, I think it can't be helped, and in some cases, I think it helps to drum up sort of negative, but as Luke would say, sort of non-prejudicial PR, but perhaps benefits the plaintiff. But it's something that I think corporations or the defendant in this case, right, Xbox, right, want to mitigate or nullify as quickly as possible. That's how I would do it. But then on the other side of it, some corporations, many actually, they feel that sometimes there's no case to answer, or just want to see how much resource, guile, perseverance, and conviction the other party, the plaintiff side, have, right, in sustaining the situation and attempt to buck or bleed them out one way or another until it's time to settle, of course. And I think Luke will know this because he works on obviously much more modern day contracts, but most of the ones that I've seen and most of the corporations that I dealt with in the past have got massive contingencies within their annual budgets that allow for such legal disputes, often in the tens of millions. So it's nothing new to Microsoft, and I bet they have lawsuits sort of coming in every single day. But anyway, why am I speaking? We've got a lawyer on the panel. My apologies.
And do you know what? I'm just going to drop onto there. VJ, you made an absolute fucking brilliant point. Really, really, really good. So Andrzej Sapkowski, I do apologize. I'm sure he's watching. The creator of The Witcher, he did sell his license to CDPR to say, yes, let's make you can make a Witcher game. You have the license, go ahead. Okay. They couldn't use the books, apparently. I read up on it because I'm a massive fan of the Witcher series, as you all probably know. I read up on the issue as well. Witcher 1 come out, Witcher 2 come out. It was like, yep, all good. We've got license. It doesn't follow the books at all. It's fine. It wasn't until they made an absolute fortune on Witcher 3, which was... It sold very well, The Witcher 3, and it is my favorite game of all time. He basically went to CDPR and said, you've made some money. What are you going to do about it? And they did. They honored. They went, do you know what? Here you go. We'll renegotiate the price of what we're going to give you. And I think that was rather than it going through the legal system, they just went, yeah, do you know what we have? There you go. And it's probably, could he have taken them through the legal system? I don't know. I don't know the legal system that way. Maybe he could, maybe he couldn't. Maybe they encroached upon some of the stories he made. I don't know. But they did make a deal and say, yes, we've made a fortune. There's some money. And it went away.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he was, he readily admitted he was quite stupid because essentially they entered into a licensing agreement and they offered him a percentage of the profits that they'd make from the Witcher games. Wow. And he in the negotiations, he just said, nope, absolutely not, because you're basically not going to sell anything. Like, it dismissed the gaming industry entirely. So they gave him a bunch of upfront cash for the license. And then years later, obviously, he realised, I've done a bad here, because they've made a ton of money. Look how much. Yeah, I think he must have got in the thousands, for example, for his his original license agreement. So license, very little. And I think he was claiming that he could have, he was basically underpaid for his work under Polish law, and he should have had royalties. And as you very correct in saying, CDPR went, you know what, actually, even though we think we're right, and we've discharged all our contractual obligations, as a gesture of goodwill, we'll just enter into a new licensing agreement, and you'll have a percentage of the profits coming from games and other merchandise that we make for it. So
I think that's a sensible approach, right? Especially if your next game's going to be Witcher 4. So
yeah, and it's all the Gwent money that they make, and all the they have tons of merchandise, CDPR that they make for The Witcher. Like he'll get a cut of all of that, literally everything. So and it keeps him on side, and it means they can continue to exploit the IP in the way that they want to.
Definitely. There's one point I wanted to make. It's so obviously I don't hear any Halo content creators getting strikes or community things for playing Halo. Right, the music. Right now, I always bring it up, but I've now deleted them off my channel. But I was in a playthrough of Gears of War 1. Now I thought Microsoft acquired the whole IP, everything. I actually got strikes on my channel for playing Gears of War 1 and having the music on, and it was from the author that made the original score of Gears of War. Now I was under the assumption Microsoft bought all that. It was very strange. I had to delete all the videos off the channel. Suggests to me that maybe they don't own them. It's a bit strange. That was. It was the original author that was doing it. It was very strange. Gears 1. You'd think that if they owned it, they wouldn't be able to do that.
None of us really knows how the automated strike systems work, because I've heard that anybody can throw out a strike on a video, and they may or may not check it before they throw it at the streamer. But if it's probably in his name is probably in a database somewhere that it probably hit it up, like the way Shazam works. If you've ever used like Shazam or any of the other music recognition services,
it might be up then.
So
maybe
go ahead.
No, go ahead, Rafael.
Maybe he does retain some of the rights, but the fact that it would come up from him and not from Microsoft Corp.
Yeah, it didn't say Microsoft. It was a few years back. I can't remember his name, but it came up with his name, so I looked him up. I did.
Maybe he had one of those juicy license agreements that Marty O'Donnell wishes he had. Probably. And that's why.
And this whole thing with Marty in the suit, I wonder if it has to do with the fact that it's a big old show coming out. And so it's going to be, that music is going to be used probably a lot in the show. So he's rubbing his fingers together. Yeah.
And I think he said they've explored potentially trying to get an injunction against the show being broadcast. if it doesn't go well.
Luke, I've got a question for you. Obviously, when he created the music and licensed it, or however the deal was structured, it was probably a shoddy contract back then, but it would have also come under the scope in terms of it's specifically for video games. It may not have covered TV shows, and that's probably might be the reason why he's approaching the situation now rather than previously.
Yep. Could very well be.
Probably back then they never envisioned Halo ever having a TV series. I mean,
I
don't think
bet you were planning for the Gears of War TV show.
Yes, and the movies and everything. Yes, I am. Welcome to Daft Praxis, Matty KO. Matty KO, thanks for popping in.
I was going to say, reading the Daft Praxis's messages in the chat, it feels like he's the seventh member of the panel.
I have invited him on, I have. I'm still waiting for him to find out if he can come on at some point.
I'm not sure if
I have
he's
invited
worthy.
him. We'll have to see. We will. Yeah, I think we've covered that topic quite well now. Thanks for your input, Luke, on the lawyer matter.
It's all right.
Good.
By the way, looking at real quick though on that topic, looking at Marty's IMDb, he hadn't done much work since 2014. He's got one for 2021, so I'm thinking he might be broke.
He doesn't need to. He keeps suing people. It's fine. You don't need to keep working if you can sue people for a little bit of cash. I'm just trying to find out who I can sue right now. It's fine.
You know what though? That I was talking on another group. I was talking about this, and he's going to give himself a bad reputation. Nobody's going to want to work with him.
Yeah. No, it may well be that he's got a not so great reputation for that reason, and so he's not being engaged a lot.
So Darth Praxis says, "Bring me on the 23rd." Correct?
I've got to check my DMs with that one. I have.
Basically, it's Darth Praxis in your DM saying, "Bring me on the 23rd."
Yeah, if you don't remind him, he will forget. And on the 23rd, we'll be going, "Where's Darth Praxis?" And he'll go, "Oh, I didn't invite him." I'm like, dude.
Yeah, do you know what? He's a very good guest. I can. I've worked with him a couple of times. He's good. He's good.
He's fun in parties too. He's fun in parties too. He's a great guy.
He's better than me, Stubbs. Maybe replace me with him. It's fine.
I'm all for that. Everybody raise your hand.
Yeah,
no.
You don't see them in the same room. Are they the same person? Because you don't see them in the same room together. Dun 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 dun.
Yeah, he's good. He's good people. He really is. I would recommend him for a show, definitely. As would Paul.
Yep.
Spent many a time with Mr. Darth Praxis. Many a time with Darth Praxis. He's just, you know what? He is good people. He really is. However, Stubbs, next topic, sir.
Well, everyone's talked about this on the planet, but I thought we'd give it a little talk, not too big.
Everyone on the planet.
Gears.
No. Because the community's been very emotional. I watched podcasts over last week, and all to do with the Call of Duty exclusivity, and it's the fact it's staying multiplayer.
Oh dear God!
There's been a lot of emotions. I've been watching chat rooms. I've been watching chat rooms of people that are surprised by what they thought about it, and
the tears.
There's been a lot of tears. There's been a lot of tears of people because it's.
I'm drained.
I've seen a lot of emotion. I know Indie Gamer's about to cry. He can't believe it.
Speaking of being drained, I'll be right back.
I'm joking. But no, it's...
Bye, Paul. See you on the next topic.
Call of Duty's just going to stay multiplayer, basically. I mean, I can read it if you want me to. To be clear, Microsoft will continue to make Call of Duty and other popular Activision Blizzard titles available on PlayStation through the term of any existing agreement with Activision, and we have committed to Sony that we will also make them available on PlayStation beyond the existing contract agreement and into the future so that Sony fans can continue to enjoy the games they love. We are also interested in taking similar steps to support Nintendo's successful platform. We believe this is the right thing for the industry, for gamers, and for our business. So a lot of people ain't happy about this, but I think it's great for gaming. A lot of people have actually disagreed with I've seen people disagree with Luke the lawyer online about this subject.
Luke, come on, Luke. Yeah.
Was it Paul?
But it's all good for the gaming industry, I think. It's a big money. It's a big money earner, and it is because I don't know the actual finances, but I believe it's like half of Activision's income. It's Call of Duty. I could be wrong.
Look, I'm going to throw this out to you real quick. Live service games, you'd be stupid enough to cut off more than half of your player base to keep it exclusive.
Yeah.
Exactly. Stupid. You know, the single player games is one thing, but live service games don't cut off your existing player base because they're not all going to jump over and go, oh, now I got to get a PlayStation or go get an Xbox. No, it ain't going to happen. They're just going to stop playing and stop paying. So, yeah, don't that.
Yeah.
I don't know why anybody would be mad about that. That's just ridiculous.
It's true because it's what I've seen. I can see people's argument for saying you keep it multiplayer, and people saying, "Well,
see, Stubbs, I have to pull you up there. I have to pull you up there because I can't see any argument, and I have to ask you what argument holds up.
No, I was just going to say a point I've heard online. It's not an argument. It's just some people are going to say you keep it multiplayer, and the selling point will be put it in Game Pass. But my point is, for somebody who only plays COD, and there is people that only play Call of Duty, paying $120 a year is bloody expensive just to play it.
I would say that those people are actually cocooned in their own ignorance.
Mm-hmm.
That's fair enough.
Okay.
Professor Luke.
Play one game a year, do they? But... Have you got any thoughts on this, Luke? You've probably talked about it to death, you have.
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit of a frustrating topic to talk to people about, actually, because I think people get weirdly emotional about Call of Duty. Who gets emotional about Call of Duty? Like, it's not even. I think the thing is, like,
Heck, in the case of the last couple iterations, it's not even that good. But
a lot of people crying about it. Don't even play it.
This is the thing, right? It's like within this community, like super hardcore, gamers, Call of Duty is not really anything that I've never seen people have a real attachment to it. People play Warzone and enjoy it, and it may be their go-to kind of first-person shooter battle royale type game, and maybe they buy the yearly releases and they enjoy them, but it's not as if it evokes like Halo feelings or Horizon feelings or anything like that. And it's this kind of weird fanboy spite logic where they should take it away from other people because then they've taken it away from people who quote unquote don't deserve it or something like that. And I think I always genuinely expected Call of Duty to keep releasing on other platforms because, as Paul said, why would you, in a live service game environment, why would you cut off not just a part of your community, but actually if you look at sales of Call of Duty on PlayStation and kind of the engagement on that platform, it's greater than any other platform.
It's a massive percentage.
Exactly. Even the Call of Duty League, it's all played on PlayStations, right? So that's how ubiquitous the kind of it is on that platform. So it wouldn't make sense for Microsoft. Why would they just get rid of all that revenue? I get that they would want to attract people to Game Pass, but guess what? You just do that by putting it on Game Pass, right? That's a way to get people. And not everyone, as people have said, right? Call of Duty does really well with casual players, and no casual player, I don't think, is really going to go, ooh, or very few will go, I'm going to abandon the console that I'm on because it's available on a subscription service over here. They're just going to buy the game. But for Microsoft, they don't care. Like, why would they care? They're getting money anyway, either way. And it's just a weird, it's just a really weird environment of people who just seem to want to take games away from other people. And I think there's a time and there's always a time and place for exclusives. I genuinely think that, because I think that they bring out competition, and I think that's really important. But there are certain games that are so ubiquitous in the gaming world, like Call of Duty or Minecraft or Fortnite or any of these, where you would just be stupid to make them exclusive to certain platforms, because their value is in being everywhere and making a lot of money everywhere. So yeah, it's a bit pathetic, to be honest, and it just really annoys me.
Do you know what? I'm going to go on the back of that and say,
wait, real quick, Lynn, can I speak to Dirk
go on.
Practice's comment?
Absolutely, go for it.
I just want to draw real quick. The reason they wouldn't want to keep it exclusive, Darth, is because microtransactions, season passes, battle passes,
Exactly.
and like we both
money
just
earner.
said,
It's a money
a lot
earner.
of those
Get
players,
richer.
most of those players are on PlayStation. So Microsoft is going to have the money raking in hand over fist, and if they cut off all those people, that money they're not going to get, the majority of it, because they're not going to switch to PC and they're not going to switch to Xbox. They're just going to find another game to play.
Yeah. My point kind of jumps on the back of that. What I was about to say. Look at MLB The Show. Okay, Microsoft have paid for the nose to get MLB The Show onto Xbox. Yeah. All they need is Xbox Studios. That's all they need. When they load the game, when they load the next Call of Duty up, it's going to be Xbox Studios, and they want people to go, Xbox? What's Xbox? Let's have a look, and then join in. That's what they want to do, and I think that Call of Duty has the reach to the people that it reaches out to people that don't even know that Xbox exists. Those Sony players, those PC players, and Xbox Studios. What's that? It's a massive sort of come in here, have a look at what we've got, and I think that's where they're going with it. I mean, there's been contentions about why they're making Call of Duty multi-platform. The weirdest one is because they want to lie to get the deal through.
I don't believe that one.
No, that's
They're not going to lie. They're not going to lie.
Luke
Of course not,
strongly
because
disagree.
but you know what? That's been the ethos in the community we exist, right? That's not true, because they're not going to lie.
they can't.
No chance.
They
They can't, because in a year's time, it'll just go, well, you lied, so we'll take it that you can no longer have this thing. That's the thing. But yeah, it's a case of Xbox Studios. Every time you load up a Call of Duty, Xbox Studios. And for me, when I see something, when something comes up as if to say it's by this person, I'm going to look at it. Like music, for example. If I like an artist's track, I say it's by this artist. I'm going to go, oh, let's have a look at the rest of his stuff. Xbox Studios has the same effect mentally, I think. That every time you load up a Call of Duty game, brought to you by Xbox, whether it's on a PlayStation, a Nintendo, a PC, it's engagement, and it's trying to pull you in.
Well, it's like MLB The Show says Sony, Entertainment or whatever,
Yes, but it still has Xbox on it as well.
No, but it's the same thing. When we load up MLB The Show,
oh yeah, absolutely,
Xbox,
absolutely,
it says Sony. It's the first thing we see, and
absolutely, Sony Interactive.
I don't think twice about it because I'm not a console wearer. I don't care. It's like
it doesn't
nice,
matter.
But
there's that double threat, isn't it? It's. Do you know what? Have they gone to PlayStation and said, "Okay, you can have Call of Duty if we can have this game, or you can have Call of Duty if we have this kind of there's the potential there, but
Eh.
I think Call of Duty is multi-platform because of the amount of cash it brings in, especially as Paul said, the microtransactions, because it's huge on PlayStation, right? And it's free advertising. Just come over to Microsoft. It really is.
Yeah.
But again, nothing but a humble opinion, and I will let it loose to the other panel members.
I think. Can I? Oh, Removable, you want to go?
Who's that? No, go ahead.
No, you go for it. I was waiting for you, to be honest.
Oh, is it? Look, I've got a lot to say, but I'm going to try and keep it short. So I'll be here for 30 minutes. I think. I don't think that. I don't think that. I don't think exclusives are the only way to control, conquer, and lead an industry. It's an old, archaic template, right? And
agreed.
And I think that Microsoft is playing a very different game. I don't think they're playing chess. I don't think they're playing checkers. I don't think they're playing backgammon. I think they're playing Hasbro's finest. And I think what they're trying to do is be a key component provider. And you can be much more open, non-exclusive, and far more profitable if you play your cards right, and you can dominate the industry. And I think somebody mentioned, I think it might be you, Paul. Forgive me if I've got it incorrect. But Sony, just look at them, right? They're going to sell somewhere between 1.2 to 1.5 billion units of software, right? This upcoming generation, if it's as successful as the PS4, and with everything Xbox owns, surely. As Phil, one of the things I'd be doing, and this is just one strategic component of probably a wheel with many spokes in, I'd be looking to across an installed hardware base, right, without allegiance, without emotion, right, and thinking, right, how can I possibly account for almost 20% of those sales, right? That's one thing, right? In terms of investment, and I think this is quite a logical thing here, and I think everybody's mentioned it in their own way, right? You don't rationally invest 45% of your cash reserves to turn around to major shareholders, right, and explain the game plan, which is to alienate a major client and reduce revenue and profit significantly, perhaps by 20 to 30%, and hence. Microsoft's, I think it was their last sentence in the statement, it's best for our business. And that should tell you everything you need to know, right, to remain multi-format, right? And those words weren't used.
Yep.
And they're here to serve shareholders, not neurotic and uninformed gamers like us, right? And I'm happy to say that I am, because I haven't been in the industry for a while. And then there's the question of, well, and I've seen this, exclusives are typically used, right, to breed competition and push creativity and game advancements, right, to the benefit of the gamers and a healthy and industry and the longevity of it and COD remaining multi-format. Surely that's counter to all of this sort of process of thinking. And I feel that you can say that, you can react in that way, but you need a little bit of time if you sit back and really look at it. I think there's another way to look at this, right, and get the same result. Xbox will want to maintain the intrinsic tethering. That's what's happening here, right? Of Sony and Nintendo to AB&K's products, right? Activision, Blizzard, and King. That's just an abbreviation, right? And tether them ultimately to Xbox, right? And Sony and Nintendo will be working tirelessly, and I've talked about this back as 2017, 2018, right? Sony were aware of this, right? They'll be working tirelessly on creating competing products to pull away from Xbox and Activision. And if possible, mitigate or replace that revenue with other titles and potentially the first-party titles, right? And any company, it doesn't matter what position you find yourself in during the course of through the lifespan of your business, right? Any company must de-risk in case of over-reliance on a supplier or reduce reliance on a major source of income. Right, and as I said this on the show before, Sony knew this back in 2017, right? And all three, and I'm including Nintendo in this as well, and other industries, right? It's not. I'm not just saying. I'm trying to speak about this in terms of how it applies to all industries and all businesses, right, large or small. And all three now have the business incentive that they need to push the boundaries of creativity and quality for their own shareholders. I think Nintendo just came out as well, right, saying, you know what, we're not gonna go buy studios. We're actually going to invest our money into creating new IPs, right, within our own company that we own, right, for first party, right. And And I think that they need to do this sort of thing, right? Not just for the shareholders, and not just for their company, but the preservation of such, right? And obviously what's key to their agenda and their strategies going forward. And last but not least, right, Xbox fans, right, want to place Phil on a pedestal, right? And I've seen it, right? Uncle Phil and all this other garbage, right, on a pedestal, and they don't even know the guy, right? And they want to afford him ceremonies, flower garlands and awards, for contribution to the industry. Yet they can't get on board, support, and respect his decision. That should just tell you everything that you need to know about the typical gamer these days, right? For me, it's the business and the strategy and this doing away with conflict, division, which does nothing in your daily life other than erode or disintegrate your brain, right? From those perspectives, right? All whilst making a profit, right? For me, it's sensible and logical business decision, right? A step forward, ending division and conflict while making money. And the funny thing is, how many fans feel like loyalty and morality and everything that we've gone through as fans and all our sort of neurotic ideals, right, should trump business ethics. And if you think that way, you're living in Disneyland, right? Anyway, that's me done. So feel free to ask me questions. Everyone gone home?
Excellent points, VJ. Sorry about the delay there.
Luke
I was getting the
my
keyway.
favorite term in chat. Luke is using my favorite term in chat: return on investment. I reach out here so much every week. To explain these deals to people. Yeah.
It's a very simple concept that people seem to miss out on sometimes. But it's very important. But yeah, I mean, I think like. It just makes financial sense for Microsoft to do what they're doing, and that's not to say that other Activision games won't be exclusive. They may feel that other games that are being developed have some merit in being locked to that ecosystem and bringing people in. I'm sure they will. If they make a Hexen game, right, even though it's a niche, IP, it actually might move some people to go and subscribe to Game Pass to go and get an Xbox or a PC or whatever. So it's just we're just seeing there's a proliferation of different ideas coming out right now from gaming companies, and that includes Sony as well with what they're doing with Bungie, which is that you don't need to lock everything to your console anymore, right? You don't need to lock games away from other people anymore. You can coexist. There's this idea that and this is a really weird nerdy thing, but back in France way back in the day, there was a treasurer who had a view of the world which was called mercantilism, and it was basically that there's only a finite amount of money of a market that exists in the world, and you have to do everything to be able to batter people away and get your share. We don't live in that world anymore. There's no limit to this pie, right? I think back 20 years ago, Sony, Microsoft, etc., really did think there was a limit to this pie. They thought they had a mercantilist attitude where it was like, we only operate in a very finite amount of audience, money, and we have to do everything to make sure that people come to us rather than somewhere else. It doesn't exist. Gaming keeps growing and growing and growing. It's even though it's such a huge market as it is, it still doesn't reach as many people as it could, nowhere near. So there's no need to lock games away, especially games like that anymore. There is a place for exclusives. I still genuinely think that in certain circumstances, but it's not the same. It's not the same world as it was 20 years ago. So I think it just makes sense. And people who are emotional about it need to get a life, to be honest. So I don't see.
Sorry if I was overly emotional, and I will try to get a life.
No. You've already got one, VJ.
Stubbs, you still there?
Yeah, I'm still
he's
there.
gone to sleep.
I was seeing if Removable was about to jump in.
He was probably chewing on a kiwi skin or something.
That's probably
him and his shed have blown away hours ago. It's fine.
There isn't really much. Well, it's all the points kind of been expertly pointed out already. It's exactly that. It's been bought for a return. and it makes sense for it to run. I agree with Luke that there is times and places for some exclusives. Personally, I would like to see exclusives become a thing of the past, and it just becomes more ubiquitous across the platforms. I could foresee platforms kind of dissipating, and cloud services taking over, and it'll be just software services in the future, and it'll be probably the next thing will be prices in terms of what's the best price for playing all your games, and I think the first step to that will be you can play all your games on this service, and then once one platform does it, it will happen, and it'll be used against other platforms and softwares. And once that happens, then it'll be just a simple battle between the prices. That's the way I kind of see it going in the future. And again, just like this,
like my base argument, the whole live service thing is going to be where we're going to see a lot of things not exclusive, because why do you want to leave that money on the table?
Exactly.
I think the single player and multiplayer only that aren't live fed may remain exclusive to a point. And when I say exclusive nowadays, I mean console and PC from either side, because even Sony is changing their note there, going, well, we need to play on the PC side too, because the PC base is still more spread out than either console base, and then there's the whole mobile side too. But so the live service games are where I see that are going to probably be multi-plat. Am I saying I'm going to see Halo on a Sony? Probably not anytime soon. Or Gears of War? Probably not anytime soon. But pre-existing stuff and new stuff? Probably. Just because that's where they're going. That's what they're doing.
Just to let you know, Paul, I would be all for Gears of War going to PlayStation. Just so you know. It won't happen, but I'm all for it if it happens.
Yep. Well, I think it's going to end up being that way. It's going to potentially... The end is in sight. I don't think it's hardware is going to be the future. I think it's going to be the software and the service that's going to be the future of gaming, and that's going to be across multiple platforms, regardless. And so I said it kind of lends, if you think like that it lends itself to all games being on all softwares, and then if that happens, it will be simply down to, as I said, to a pricing structure. There will be a battle of the pricing structures to try and get you to move to this particular software. And as Luke said, we haven't even hit the peak of players at this stage. There is fundamentally millions of players that this hasn't even gotten into yet. I don't know. I think it's one of these things that I think at this stage, it's a return investment. And I think this is it's not going to be the first, and I don't think it'll be the last. I think this is going to start coming through more and more.
Tell you what I find interesting. We were talking about live service games. One of the biggest in the world is on mobile, PC, and Xbox. It's called Roblox. It's not on the PlayStation. It baffles me as to why. It's on everything else but the PlayStation. It's not an exclusivity thing. It's just they haven't put it on there. You'd think they'd get it on there, wouldn't you? That's all.
Considering Roblox has a bit of a checkered past.
Yeah.
It's probably due to the ability to cross-stream. Do you know, if they don't... I mean, it was forced on Minecraft eventually. Yeah. If you remember that Minecraft, they would not cross-stream. They would not cross, would they? Until PlayStation relented and just gone, okay, yes, you can put the shit on this PC. Yeah.
Animated.
So maybe it's similar.
Protect the children. It was to protect the children.
It was to protect.
That's what they actually said.
It's
not. PlayStation actually publicly came out and said they needed to protect the children. That's what they used.
For Minecraft?
Yeah, the crossplay.
No. The thing is, the crossplay thing. The crossplay thing wasn't to protect the children. It was because they wouldn't allow Microsoft logins on PlayStation, and unfortunately, if you play Minecraft on PlayStation, you need a Microsoft login.
They were
Unlucky.
clever, weren't they? They got it,
Yep.
didn't they?
And maybe Minecraft's holding something similar. I don't know. But I'm not an expert, but similar. Minecraft's massive anyway, so.
It
Best
currently
bet.
holds the title for the most. Is it the most money being made on a game ever?
Yeah, it's.
I know it holds a few records still. I think it holds a
it's-
few records at the moment.
Because at one point
it's worth a couple of billion. It's worth 3 or
Because
4
at one
billion, I
point
think.
it was in like decline on YouTube. If you made Minecraft videos, you made no money. Now Minecraft's back on top of the world. It has been for years. But
Oh
it
well,
went downhill.
if that's the case, then I'm going to get back into
Make
Minecraft.
Minecraft
Why
videos.
not?
Yeah. All the biggest YouTubers play it every day.
Yep.
They do.
Well,
So
I
do you know what?
like one of
My,
the other ambassadors I know, he actually he works and he helps develop Minecraft levels. I mean, they're always cranking out new content, new things you can do in the game, and I think that's one of the reasons it has such staying power. It's constantly evolving. Yeah, it's constantly evolving.
If you're into the Insiders program, there's something recently happening with Minecraft. They're actually they seem to be transferring the worlds to a new system or to a new server or a new AI or something. I spotted on the. So it sounds like the whole system's being upgraded, and that could tie in with the new ray tracing and all that malarkey that's coming through.
Which I think is hilarious. Ray tracing on Minecraft. My God.
The trouble is, though,
Yeah.
as bad as it sounds, I saw Digital Foundry's thing, and it does look really good. And if anything,
I
it goes
know.
like, I'm like, I kind of want to play it now. I'm not a Minecraft fan, but I'm looking at it going, yeah, that ray tracing kind of looks really, really good. I might be being pushed into it. But that was actually that was the very first video where they actually showed the power, or should I say, not the power, the destructive power of ray tracing, where they said, we'll turn it on at medium range, and it dropped from like 240 frames to 120. They said now we put it on really high, and it dropped from like 120 to about 20. And it's like, this is the problem with ray tracing. It can really destroy your frame rate.
when the video was launched, it would never happen on console, but now it's a potential with the Series S, the Series X, and the PS5. There's a potential that we can see that on console, but back in the day when they released that ray tracing video, it was high in PC. So let's hope it comes on. Let's hope that ray tracing comes on our consoles, right?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, before we totally get off it, the Call of Duty. Remember, for those of you who may not know, the new Call of Duty that they're coming out with will be under a new engine, which we're hoping will mean smaller file sizes and better file management.
Can you guarantee that?
If they can squeeze something that looks as beautiful as Cyberpunk into into 50-something gig, they sure as hell should be able to do that with.
Well, there is compression they can use, but for some reason they choose not to use it.
I'm convinced that Activision's plan all along is just to fucking destroy your hard drive with so much Call of Duty space you have no room for any other game, and you're just forced to play Call of Duty over and over again.
That's the reason. That's the reason. That's the reason some
official.
players only play one
official.
game because it's all.
It's official, Pete.
Yeah.
It's official.
That's
Are you saying
said
that's
it's
just
official? There we go.
Yeah, so listen, I think Luke's hit the nail on the head. He's worked out the bloatware situation that's on there.
Yeah.
The game's only actually about 20 gigabytes, but the other 80 is dead, just to really,
I think
it's a minute choice. You have to play this game or nothing.
Nothing. Yeah, I think it's a Bobby Kotick original.
Either that or Activision was planning on going into the hardware business, selling hard drives.
Call of Duty branded hard drives, expansion drives for more Call of Duty.
It will be guaranteed. Yeah, 450 quid for this half a terabyte, but you'll be able to play Call of Duty though.
It's tiny of a game. Error. It's not working.
Yeah. New skin on Warzone is 15 gig for a gun.
Wow. Indeed. So, Stubbs, next topic, dude. Well, let's go.
Dun, dun, dun.
Come on, Stubbs. Next topic. On fire. Come on. We're doing good.
All right.
What do you mean you've got?
Who's gonna play Cyberpunk?
What do you mean you've got no? What do you mean you've got not got?
I got any.
He wasn't planning for us to actually be quiet. We haven't deviated, and that's the problem. I think it's been because of Luke.
We've done well. We've done really well.
See,
We haven't really deviated now.
You've been keeping us on topic too much. See.
Yeah, we haven't talked about pies, the wind, nothing like that.
Pineapple on pizza, none of that has come up.
Shit.
Nothing. Yeah.
So I've kept
So
you
Luke,
all
what's your
topic
stance
so
on
much.
pineapple on pizza, Luke? Come on.
It's an abomination. Almost as
Thank
bad as
you.
eating
Okay.
the
That's
skin
it.
on
He's
the
out.
You're good there, Luke. Okay, you can do that.
So
My hand might slip.
there has been a mention topic over the last couple of weeks. Xbox game gifting. If you want to run with that,
one.
Stubbs.
So, for what Looper brought it up. So what it is you can game gift someone his country. And I had this problem when my friend Centurion 1307. He game gifted me a Cyberpunk, and he obviously bought it in America, but I got round it by I redeemed it on a VPN that said I lived in America. So when I redeemed it, you had to reboot your Xbox, and it appeared in your library. And you just press download. But from what I'm told, if you do it the legal, that wasn't legit. That's not the way you're supposed to do things. If you can purchase somebody and game gift somebody, when you do it on the website, you have to go on the website to do it, and you can buy it. And obviously, but then apparently, once it realizes this person is in another country, and they try and redeem it, it then says not available in this region. It does. So you have to get a refund. But like what Looper's point was, surely if you've got a friend in America and you want to game gift them, why can't you just pay the taxes for them and let them play it? It should be much better.
Yep.
Or some way, if you want to buy a friend a present, you could just pay the taxes for them. It shouldn't be an issue. But they don't offer that. I don't know if it's something they can do.
They should be on the store. They should, especially if you click this as a gift, then it should give you a drop down to which region is the gift, recipient in, and then go from there. That way you can handle it all correctly. But
the way I mentioned it is the way you can get around it. It's not legally. It's not how you're supposed to do it, but you can do it that way. You can.
I've received a few gifts, and that's how I've had to do it. So
yeah, it's not the way you're supposed to, but only way you can do it. Has anyone had the experiences with a game gifting? Luke, have you ever tried this?
No, I'm far too selfish to be gifting games.
I'm going to go with, because I've received gifts and I've sent gifts and all that kind of thing that have required the exact solution that you described. The thing is that it's going to be very difficult to be solved because it costs different in different regions. Okay, I've gifted Cerebral Paul a game in the past, for example, but it costs me different. It costs me different amount to what Cerebral Paul would pay for it. I'm not sure how.
I can understand that for physicals, but digital. And again, as you said, you could put in if it's desperate, you could still put in a tax base. I mean, you can look at when you could buy gifts abroad. They come there. You go, what's the delivery charge per country? Here's the delivery charge. You could do the same thing. You could simply have here's the surcharge for gifting this person's game. If you're in Taiwan, or if you're in China, or if you're in America or Canada, you could do a little list of here's the thing you need to click on. So
potentially I could pick the US store if I wanted. What you're saying is if I wanted to buy Cerebral Paul a game, yep, I would choose the US store. Is that what you're saying? And then
Yeah,
I
so
would
you-
be charged
You can
accordingly.
with Amazon. Yeah, you can.
Yeah, it's just that. Do you know what? The way currency works between the million countries we have, it's not a million. I'm exaggerating, right? We would just jump into a store that was cheaper. I would jump into a store that was the cheapest game and then gift it across, and I would get it for the cheapest amount compared
Well,
to
I would say
my local currency.
yeah, but if you look at
Because
like Amazon, for
yeah,
instance, you can't do that. If you buy something from America, you still have to pay the tax. It doesn't allow you to kind of you can if it's like for instance, normally in the UK we're the more expensive due to our tax system anyway, regardless. But you could still there still could be something in the settings that says right, I am having to pay the taxes for that particular country.
Okay.
Here it is. I mean, it's up to, at least it's a choice. That's what I think is the thing. Is the choice is there.
So what is the difference of a game being very cheap in Argentina, me buying it in Argentina and gifting it to myself?
You'd still have to pay the tax based on that
No.
option.
But currently, I could buy a game for if it's £9 in UK, it costs me £3 in Argentina. What's the difference of me?
You could.
Well, I'd say
do
it's the
that.
same thing as it's the same thing as if you're doing it in Amazon. You could buy something from the Amazon, Argentina's Amazon. What stops you from getting it over here? Well, there is a particular, there's a particular stoppage, isn't it?
The thing is though, with buying it over there, it's the shipping. It's the shipping to me that's the issue. With a digital game, there's no shipping.
Well, that's what I'm saying. They could place in
the
a shipping, not a shipping, or a cost within as like a shipping cost into the actual when you're buying it. So if you are buying it, say for Argentina digitally, you could have a digital shipping cost to then pass it to someone else.
Fair enough.
Would that not be? Would that be a solution? Because otherwise, you're right. You're going to have to go through.
It would be viable. However, the manpower and the systems that would need to be put in place, movable, would absolutely fucking astronomical. Because you've then got to incorporate every single country, every single region, because it's not even just countries; it's regions as well.
Yeah,
that have different prices.
It could be state based as well.
And
Sales tax,
exactly,
sales tax comes into play. Yeah,
like Super Paul says, it's state based. That is a massive operation.
Yes, actually, yeah.
Electrically and even humanely, with people saying nope, can't do that, can't do that, can't do that. That's huge. I mean,
so what stops CD keys, for instance, doing that? You can go there, buy CD keys, buy an Argentina game, and as a digital aspect, and then you can't play it as a UK person because it doesn't work in your country, but you could pass it over to someone in Argentina.
Well, you can, right?
You can.
However, you have to opt to open a VPN and pretend you're in that region, right? Imagine that happens 1,000 times per user. Those 1,000 people, right, have to pretend they're in a different region. That's technically 1,000 employees that have to monitor what they're doing. It's just, I don't think it's worth the investment of the companies that can sell those things. Personally, because I wouldn't like to manage a site that monitors VPNs. I would not. No chance. No, because you're talking. It's the foot traffic. It's the problem. Yeah. So I think the situation where Microsoft do it, I would love to gift VJ a game right now and say, "There you go, give it to VJ."
Elden Ring, please.
However, not right now, dude. Not right now. Having some difficulties in life. It's fine. I would love. Do you know what? I would love to give VJ a gift of saying, right, you live there. Let's do that. However, the game prices are so different in our own regions, and the monetary differences within our own regions are so astronomical. It's completely impossible.
But again, go on. Maybe I'm being immensely thick, and please tell me if I am. But why is that the case for digital media? I can physically understand it for physical media, but for digital media, why?
I bet you VJ can tell you.
I don't know why. Just two quick questions. Paul, you know when do you buy your games digitally?
Yes.
Do you pay sales tax? Because I never get charged sales tax.
Depends on the site. But yeah, like in fact, I just bought one. I bought from Microsoft the other day, and I pay sales tax.
That's interesting because I buy from Microsoft and I don't pay sales tax.
It's state by state, I think.
Right. So basically, I live in a state, and you live in a state that is a mistake.
Well,
do you know what? Do you know what? Removable. That answers your question because
There
look,
you go.
they live in the same country. Fiji
Well, actually,
does not-
Indy's just mentioned something that's kind of picks up
Fiji-
something. He says he's gifted people in other countries on Steam,
Yep.
and he just needs to be, and it has no problems.
That's Steam.
I've got one more question.
Again, so what is it? What software or what system is they using that works that way?
So when you guys pull up a Steam and it gives you a value, does it give it to you in pounds or does it give you into American dollars?
Deutschmarks.
Or Deutschmarks, yeah.
Well, what's the currency in Jersey, Luke?
It's the pound.
Oh, okay.
I'm glad you cleared that up for me. I thought it might be the old multi-pfennig.
No, it's either the pound or Jersey cows measured in grams.
The indie gamer says local currency, so
it's displayed in local currency.
Right.
Yep.
On Steam.
On Steam.
So they're doing all the conversion inside their systems. They have all that stuff laid out.
So that's what I'm saying is if Steam can manage it, again, maybe it's an inbuilt system, and maybe it's and I'll take from Anabate's point, maybe retroactively putting this in is just too much of a hassle for it to be kind of done. But seeing that, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but my Microsoft Store seems to be updating every 2 weeks now. What stopped them from actually creating a brand new store with that built in and then just simply updating it for everybody?
And Steam's far bigger than the Xbox platform. Users and everything's massive. It's far greater. It is.
I suppose it could be done. I do suppose it could be done, but
I just think it's one of these things. If Joshua, maybe it's a gamer thing. Maybe it's this. If they can't see it warranted enough, why bother messing around with it? If not enough gamers are asking for this, don't bother.
Yeah.
Until there's enough shouting about it, why put those resources? Why put those funds in? Why put that time in? Focus on the things they really are worried about, which is, accessibility and other areas. And maybe that is the simplest answer.
Bug-free games, please.
Yep.
I think
anyone
BJ's going
buying-
to hold you that promise of a game too. I can see him bugging you in a couple of days. Yeah.
Actually, I know Luke's purchasing Elden Ring. I know that I'm having a discussion with RemovableSanity whether to both of us to purchase it and play it. But is anyone else looking forward to that game?
Dude, which game was
do you know
that?
what? I'm gonna be honest. I've never done a From Software game because let's be honest, they're ridiculously hard. Correct?
Depends. I think it depends. I think there's options there for you to do.
Do you know what? They are known for being really, really hard.
Animated, I think animated. I've seen you play video games. They're not. They won't be difficult for you. Trust me.
Yes,
I'm not attempting it.
But I've never played a Dark Souls. I've never played a Demon Souls.
See, Yeah, but animated, you're exactly the sort of guy that potentially you're the prime candidate for somebody that might try that game and it might become your new favorite genre.
Yes, I was about to say that. Yes, you cut me off at the fucking pass, dude.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
You've
cut me
actually
off at the
animated. There's a video on YouTube
what-
who's actually said for people who have never played it. Here is that video. His video basically went through and said, "Look, Dark Souls have kind of got the what's it called? It's that they've got a rod for their own back now. They've got this, as you said, they've got this from software. It's only for hardcore players. It's only for gamers who really like challenges. It's like, well, ironically, he said, actually, don't get me wrong, there is challenges in it, but it is up to you. There is ways around it. There are people who are completing these games with just barely anything. He said there is a kind of like a mysticism around Dark Souls as it's too hard for everybody, and it says they've kind of built that for themselves. But he was trying to promote it to new players and said, look, to be honest with you, it isn't that the case.
What I was going to say before took over there. Do you know what? It's been created. The story's been created by an amazing author, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's into that realm of Dark Souls, Demon Souls, that From Software whole thing. I've always thought that this game might be the game to get me in. It might be.
And you can play co-op for the whole game.
I'm tempted. As long as VG will play with me. No.
Well, the trouble is, actually, ironically, all three of us could play together through the whole game. Because I think it's.
I think it's. I'm going to be honest. I'm really, really tempted to play it. However, we'll see.
I know. I'm in the same boat.
I think this one is. Oh, sorry, go on, Animid.
No, carry on. Look.
I think this one as well. Above From Software games that have come before, there are actually a number of features that are meant to make the game more forgiving. Like, still a challenge. It's still supposed to be a challenge, but there are lots of things that they've introduced in this, more forgiving checkpoints, for example, and all that kind of stuff, which are meant to kind of guide players more towards actually finishing the game rather than kind of bashing their head against a boss and just And also, as well, I think one of the big things about Elden Ring, which I think is actually not intended to be something that makes it a more accessible game in terms of difficulty, but that actually will, is that because this one's set in an open world, if you do get stuck on a boss, you don't have to just bash your head against it. You can go away and you can find something else, and then you can come back to it. Whereas before, obviously, if you're on Bloodborne and you prop up against Father Gascoigne, the second boss, you're effectively until you get past Father Gascoigne, you're not going anywhere. Which I found to my chagrin back in the day when I tried to beat him 40 times.
And you know what? These are the points where I think this might be my entry system into the Souls type From Software games. And this is why, exactly what you just said. This is why I thought to myself, let's give it a go. So I might give it a go, but I might not, because as discussed earlier, thousands of fucking games on the backlog.
Oh yeah, this also looks like it's the biggest of the games that there is. So you can tell it's like going to be like hundreds of hours in this game. I mean, I think I saw one of the recent videos, and it's like, oh, by the way, that map, there's a whole underground map that you haven't seen yet. And you're like, what?
That's why Luke's something an about which one to play.
I'm interested in it. I want to play it. I need to take off. So I'm just gonna let everybody know. Follow me on Twitter and cerebral1 to find out where I'm at all during the week. I gotta go. Talk to y'all later. Bye.
Bye. Thanks, Paul. See you later.
Luke, I've got a question for you. Have you played Demon Souls, the remake?
Yeah, finished it.
And look, I played Bloodborne, and I didn't think it was the most difficult of the From Software games. I don't think it's as. I think once you get to the rhythm of the game, it's quite straightforward. It's not. I don't know. I was just a bit perturbed when you said you had to fight Father Gascoigne 40 times, and I thought, actually, you know what? I really enjoyed leveling up in that game. I really enjoyed, I don't know how the repeat cycle, right? In terms of improving your weapons and then taking on bosses, and so you can make the game easier for yourself, right? There's like a grinding process, but the grinding process in itself is not a grind. It's actually superbly addictive, right?
Yeah.
And I think service is what I'm saying. Yeah.
No.
Bloodborne.
Yeah, I think often as well there are bosses that you as an individual just struggle against, and like for me, Father Gascoigne was one of those bosses where I just couldn't get it. I mean, I did beat him, but it was a real effort. I mean, Demon Souls remake. Demon Souls is probably actually the easiest of all the Souls games. There are, bosses. Some bosses are a little tough, but I don't think I think maximum I died to a single boss in that game was probably about 5 times, which for a Souls game is fairly low. But it's all relative, isn't it? So, some people really, really struggled with Returnal. Found it incredibly challenging, and I only died to a boss in that game once. I only had to repeat a boss once. Yeah. So and other people can't get past the second bite. Like, it's just it's really interesting.
I'm totally with you. I mean, Stubbs will tell you. I mean, the amount of trouble he's still having with the Moss Charger it's incredible. I'm sorry, this is a reference to Hollow Knight. But no, I really thought Bloodborne was a fantastic game, and I think it was
fantastic.
I don't know if you played Sekiro, but I thought
Sekiro is by far the most challenging that From have made. Yeah, I totally agree with that.
So
that's why I haven't gone near it.
Sekiro is just like Sifu on crack, basically. Sekiro, it basically demands parrying ability that is bordering on supernatural at times. It's really difficult.
Agree. And so to Removable's point in terms of how approachable Elden Ring is, because I think he made a really good point. I don't know if he made it here or he definitely made it in the DMs to me, is that that the fact that, look, there's so much to do in the game and so much to explore that you can go and level yourself up, doing other interesting activities, and then go back and attack perhaps different aspects of the map that you previously were not ready to do so, and not being funny, but that's how Zelda Breath of the Wild is also structured, right, to a degree. Yeah, exactly. Where it's just his there's a critical path through it all, and I mean I think Elden Ring is very similar in that if you want, you can try and go to the main. The main boss on the map. I don't know what that is, but you can try and do that from the start if you like, if you want to try and get there. Exactly like you could in Breath of the Wild, where you could just go straight to Hyrule Castle and try and beat Ganon. But you'll find it, incredibly difficult. I say that within 2 days, someone will speedrun that game in about 25 minutes. But
God, yeah.
I mean, it's just interesting to just see the indie gamers laughing at the Moss Charger comment in the chat.
It's a tough boss.
But no, I'm if you guys do end up purchasing it, I think I'll have to buy it, and I'd love to join in some co-op on that game.
I think to be honest with you, the more I look at it, the more I see it, the more I'm very much like animated. I haven't been very much a Dark Souls gamer, but in the last couple of years, ironically, it was some of the indie game Dark Souls games that have kind of led me into it and led me to understand the mechanics a little better. And so seeing this as well is one of the games like, do you know what, I'm probably going to actually get it, and because it does lend it. See, after playing some of those indie Dark Souls type games, I'm like, I feel a bit more prepared. And as this looks, I wouldn't say looks easier, it looks a bit more forgiving. And now that I'm hearing, obviously, you guys have been, obviously, like for instance, you've played Bloodborne, you've played Sekiro. I was like, well, if I can call you guys in to help me out if I really need it, why not try and see? And as Anime pointed out, it's got some amazing directors in this.
Yeah.
I kind of now really want to see the whole thing and see where it goes.
It's interesting because we've got. Wish we could have him on the panel, but Shizno Elite says he's played 10 hours of the Elden Ring network test, and it'd be lovely to hear what he thought of it. Other than the fact that he thought it was great and fun.
Yeah, it's going to be. I think I would be surprised if there was a game that came out this year that scored better than it amongst critics.
I keep hearing this.
Really
This was it game defining of our generation. I've heard about 4 or 5 times in Elden Ring. I was like, are you really? Is it really? Is it? And then you think, well, maybe it is. Maybe it is.
Yeah.
Where it actually it's that nice balance between newcomers and specialists. Maybe it is.
There's nothing in the previews that I've read that refers to anything, sort of difficult or anything complex with the mechanics, with the music, with the environments. I mean, there's just nothing but love for the game, right? And it's hard to. It's not a single person who's done the network test that I've come across has got anything negative, not even the slightest to say about.
Yeah, I've literally seen no negative impression of that game from media previews or network tests, which I think is a testament to how good it is. Not to hype it up too much, but
no, I'm just I'll be happy to tell you more once Animated Evil sends me.
Send over those credits, and that's what I'll be using. I'll be using my Game Pass credits for it.
Yeah. So, Stubbs, you still there, or have you gone off with?
I am.
He's here.
This Hollow Knight slander. I hadn't even got that far.
He's still at the title screen.
I'm very I'm playing ages and I was not very far at all.
Do we think that Sekiro, because it's published by Activision, even though it's a From Software game, could quite possibly make it to Game Pass next year?
Do you know what? That's the one game so far in the last 3 years that has not dropped in price. It's still 60 quid on the Xbox store.
Yep.
And I'm like, wow.
I'm gonna say yes. I'm going to say yes because they have made a couple of Ubisoft sales right now, and I think
I was looking at it.
there was a Ubisoft sale, and I reckon that a couple of Ubisoft games will be coming into Game Pass very soon. My money is on what was it I said? Do you know what? There's a direct correlation between what goes on sale and what goes into Game Pass. They did it with EA. They did it with now they're doing it with the Ubisoft. So it will be one of the big Ubisoft games going into Game Pass very soon, and I think it's going to be Immortals. Just because they're trying to sort of surface that deal with. Ubi Plus coming into the Game Pass fold, where you can register with the Ubisoft Club and download it. So I do think there's going to be something coming into the ethos.
I know what you're saying. Yep.
Yeah.
It would be good if it was, because to be honest with you, as I said, even with the price, even when they were doing the sales, it never dropped below 40. And I was like,
no,
I don't think I can't think of another game, I can't think of another game that hasn't not shifted in price. And that one seems to consistent because I've been watching it.
You are talking about on console clearly because Indie Gamers pointed
yes,
out.
on console only. Yeah, this is not PC or anything. No, this is only on the Xbox store. It is one game that I just literally, for some reason, it is.
When you said that,
very rarely
Indie
dropped.
Gamers going to come back with a really cheap price on PC. He's
got it for 20 quid. And I'll tell you what, I was like, if it was 20 quid on Xbox, I'd be like, no matter how difficult it is, I'd probably buy it because I could probably save up a bit of money for that. But I've never seen it drop. I've never seen it drop for anything like 50. And I'm like, wow.
I was going to say, Removable, that for 20 quid, he could have gifted it to everybody on this panel. Even though
he should, yeah.
Yeah, and I even posted on Twitter that it's going to drop because they did have last week or the week before, they did have a Ubisoft sale, and the history says when they had an EA sale, all their games come into Game Pass. So when they've had an Ubisoft sale, their games are going to come in, and I think it's going to be Immortals will be a Game Pass game very soon. I've said it on Twitter. I'm calling it out. It's difficult because we don't know when the Ubisoft Plus, that is a viable PC thing, we don't know when that's coming to Xbox. We don't. We know it's coming. And I said on this show that it's going to come. Yeah, grins.
But no details.
We don't know when. We don't know when. So I think to produce some interest, they're going to launch one of the Ubisoft games into Game Pass. They really are. And I think that's the game they're going to play.
Sekiro would make the perfect entry to that.
Sekiro, maybe. No,
What are you thinking?
Immortals Phoenix Rising is my money.
True. Both are pretty good.
I'm just waiting for GT7 to come to PC.
So the moment you get Immortals Phoenix Rising into Game Pass, you will see the Ubisoft launcher launch 3 weeks after.
That's your prediction.
You heard it here, folks. You heard it here, folks. Seriously.
Stubbs, I was going to say, when's your birthday, Stubbs?
It's December.
Oh, okay, because Indy and me are going to chip in and buy you a Moss Charger Teddy, because you may not be able to do it digitally, but you'll definitely be able to pump the lights out of it physically.
Wow.
That would make a great GIF. Oh, look, there you go. It's VJ.
Mic drop. Oh, Stubbs has kicked him.
Mic drop. There we go.
Stubbs has kicked him. I can tell you now.
Oh dear.
But anyway, on that note, it's been a great show. It has. Thanks for tuning in, everyone, in chat. It's been a fun show and fun conversation in chat. Thanks for coming on, Luke. It's been fun to have your knowledge on a lot of the topics. It has helped. It's been a great conversation.
Yes, thank you very much. Yeah, really enjoyed it. Especially VJ's barb right at the end there. That's give me a smile going to sleep, that one, VJ. No, yeah, brilliant. Always really enjoy coming on here, and chat's been great. So thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, it was good. Do you want to tell people where they can find you? The links are in the description. I've even put Green Pass in there too.
Oh, great. Yeah, so at Luke Steele 90 on Twitter. And then I'm on Green Pass Gaming, which is every Thursday, 8 o'clock UK time. And once a month, we are on the Indie Game Podcast with Indy and Dradzilla. And this month, we're on the 25th of February. Again, 8 p.m. UK time, 3 p.m. Eastern. If I've got that wrong, Indy, you may chastise me behind the scenes, but I think that's right. So
I thought he was keeping it a secret.
Correct.
Oh, yeah. Oh, we're keeping a guest a secret.
Yes, of course.
Yes,
I was trying to lure you into potentially, ripping that out, but clearly it didn't work.
I'm not going to say what it is. I'm not going to say who it is, but I think I've got a feeling I know.
I know. I'm not saying a word.
I'm probably going to DM Indy and wait to see if I'm right next week.
Yeah, it's the Moss Charger. That's the guest. You're just gonna have
It's the Hollow Knight reveal.
Yeah.
Everyone's been waiting for. They were like, we don't want the Nintendo. We don't want the Nintendo show. We're gonna give it to Indy. That would.
I think Indy would actually pass out if that ever happened. Like he would
if they messaged him saying, "You want to come on and do the reveal?" It's like, he probably would pass out.
Yeah, I think he would.
Yeah. But yeah, no, thanks for coming on, Luke. It's good to have you on. It's been a while, but
Yeah, always a pleasure.
it has. And thanks, VJ, for coming on. It's been good.
Yeah, it's been a fantastic show, Mr. Stubbs, and thanks for having me on again. I really appreciate it. I just want to say, look, I was never on Twitter before I started podcasting, and I don't have a channel. I don't make content. But if anyone's listening still, I just recommend you follow the people on the panel. And and thanks, Luke, for your valuable time. And I'm sure Stubbs is going to faint when he sees the bill.
Yeah, well, it's got to be done, hasn't it?
He might even move country. But no,
I'll track him down.
Fantastic to have you on board, and I hope we'll have you back again soon. So cheers.
Absolutely.
Thanks, VJ. And Animated Evil, thanks for coming on again.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a pleasure every week in, week out, dude. Yeah. Don't forget you can find me at animated_evil on Twitter. That's probably the best place to find me. You'll see me on whatever shows I do. It's been an absolute fucking pleasure to meet Mr. Luke today, dude. Appreciate it. Do you know what? It's been an experience.
It's what a lot of people say.
You have been you have been instrumental in this chat tonight. Do you know what? And let's be fair, for the Subscast Gaming, let's say hello to the chat. Thank you all, chat. Stubbs, there we go. Thank you.
Thanks, chat, and thanks, Animated.
Yes.
RemovableSanity,
thanks for coming on.
Again, much appreciated having me on. It's always nice to be on such a great panel. And of course, having Luke on, well, I'm sure we'll have him on again soon to keep us all in the loop, technically, and in the lore as well. It's good to have you on, my friend.
Thank you very much.
And again, if you're interested in listening to the crap that I talk about, you can normally find me on Twitter, Minds, YouTube, and Xbox under the name RemovableSanity. Much appreciated.
Thanks for coming on, RemovableSanity. I haven't made no mistakes this week with Animated and Removable.
No, you didn't. You didn't get all confused of whoever we were.
No, I didn't on the Subscast, but towards the end, it kind of happened. It did towards the end. It's like a theme.
Clearly, one of us is on your mind more than the other.
Oh, no. But anyway, thanks for tuning in, everyone. Sifu, Indie Gamer, many more. Shizno. There's too many. One. Matty KO. Daft Praxis is actually, he will be joining us in March. He will be. To come on the show. I've sorted that out now with the DMs. Yeah, but thanks for popping on and listening. And if you're listening onto Spotify after, please leave us a 5-star review if you think we've entertained you enough. I'm sure VJ talents have left you laughing.
One casualty.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, thanks everyone, and we'll see you next week. See ya.
It's nice.